Hello and welcome to News Hour. I am David Patrick Kamara. Coming up in this edition of News Hour, a US-based organization, Catholic Relief Services, supports the free education with 25 million United States dollars, one of the biggest agricultural projects launched in the Connaught district. The governor of the central bank promises reasonable exchange rates in the country. And SLBC looks at the effects of the 48% reduction in the wholesale cost of bandwidth for internet provision. All these stories and more are lined up in this edition of News Hour. Welcome back and thanks for joining us for our first story. A US-based organization, Catholic Relief Services, led by its Vice President Bill Okufe, has provided 25 million United States dollars towards the free quality education scheme. This was disclosed to the President Julius Maada Bio by a high-level delegation who called on the President at State House. The funding, according to the Vice President of CRS, will provide school feeding, water and sanitation, hygiene, infrastructure, nutritional education, and teachers training program. Let's join Hawa Musiri for the details.
Catholic Relief Services is a humanitarian aid organization which helps the poor and vulnerable in different parts of the world by responding to major emergencies and fighting disease. The organization has been working in Sierra Leone for over 50 years in close collaboration with the government and non-governmental organizations. The Vice President of the Catholic Relief Services, Bill Okufe, informed President Bio at State House that he was in Sierra Leone in 1992 up to 1993. As part of his job is to communicate the progress on Catholic Relief Services in different parts of the country. The Vice President of the Catholic Relief Services said that the organization has been operating for 55 years in Sierra Leone. He appealed to President Julius Maada Bio to launch the school feeding program in Konadogo district this week.
Our job increasingly is to turn over responsibility for management and leadership to the government and to the people of the countries where we operate. We take that very seriously. We have so many successes around the world where CRS started a program and then the government or the church or local civil society took responsibility and are now managing it. That's to us how we know whether something is succeeding. So we look forward to the children of Sierra Leone being educated, participating in their society, taking up leadership roles, and we look forward to the government of Sierra Leone working with us to take responsibility for the future so that we can find other important work to do in other parts of the country or in other areas.
Country representative of Catholic Relief Services in Sierra Leone, Paul Emis, said the United States government had made a huge investment in the country's education sector. He said the United States government had offered 25 million United States dollars to the country to support teaching, training, school feeding, and nutritional education, water and sanitation and hygiene, infrastructure, quality education, and literacy. Country representative also said that the CRS would launch the school feeding program in Kabbalah later this week. American Ambassador to Sierra Leone, Maria Brewer, expressed gratitude to the United States government to support the education program and commended Alpha Usman Timbo for a job well done. President Julius Maada Bio commended the Catholic Relief Services for the support towards the free quality education, as every politician chooses their campaign agenda, but his campaign focuses on the people's need, especially education, as a flagship program, among others, though it is very expensive.
It's an extremely expensive project, as you know, but because it is so important, we regard it as an existential issue. and it must be tackled to make us relevant in the 21st century. Otherwise, our people are not going to be part of the development process, which has gone ahead in a lot of countries, which we are lacking behind and which we are trying to catch up with the rest of the world. So I want to say thank you to the US government, to CRS, for taking on this challenge, because it is huge.
President Julius Maada Bio thanked the Catholic Relief Services and the United States government for their assistance towards the project.
I want to say thank you to the US government, to CRS, for taking on this challenge, because it is huge. When I undertook this pledge, I knew I would have good people, good institutions who will come to my aid. I knew I didn't have the wherewithal, the funds that are available. But I know by articulating the importance of it to our national development, making sure that the poorest of the poor share in the future that we want to build, I knew that somebody was going to hear me, and I'm very happy that CRS, through the government of the United States, has come.
Deputy Minister of Primary and Secondary Education, Emily Gogra, also thanked CRS and the United States government for the tremendous support towards the project, and that their meeting with the president would also discuss the launching of the school feeding program in Kabbalah this week. SABC TV News Eye in Freetown, Hawa Mosue reporting.
One of the biggest agricultural projects in the Kono district has been launched in the Soa Chiefdom. The project was initiated by the Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of Information and Communications, Augustine Sheku, who hailed from the chiefdom, and through the Soa Development Association came up with the project, which is going to be funded by partners in the Netherlands. Asmiba was there.
In the diamond-rich districts of Kono is rich in agriculture, just like many other areas in Sierra Leone, but its people remain poor. Soa is the third largest and most populated chiefdom in Kono districts. Unlike other districts, the people here have stayed and focused in growing their crops. This was an event to showcase the agricultural strength of the area. Plantains, yam, cacao, papaya, and other crops sold in Koidu and Freetown are mostly from this chiefdom. Villagers from all the sections in the chiefdom converged here to be part of this historic event, which is a new dawn for them. This project is as a result of a partnership between the Soa Development Fund and a business company in the Netherlands, whose aim is to invest and provide ready markets and jobs for these farmers, who most times have toiled but are unable to get value for money.
As you can see, this is a plantain that was harvested from this chiefdom, Soa chiefdom in Kono district. This is just to show you that this part of the country is very rich. The soil is rich for agricultural purposes, and it is one of the chiefdoms in Kono district that is rich in agricultural produce. Many of the produce that are coming from this part of the country are being taken to neighboring Guinea because of the poor condition of the road network.
Accessing this chiefdom by traders or taking wares from here to Koidu or Freetown is a hellish experience. The road can be described as one of the worst in the districts. Even four-wheel drive vehicles struggle to find their way. This trunk road, though an international route, yet because of neglect has caused suffering for an already impoverished people. This poor condition of the road is a disadvantage to the farmers. Addressing hundreds of farmers, one of the sons of the chiefdom, Augustine Sheku, who wants to pay back his people, told his audience that as a result of the potential in the chiefdom, in 2014, they had the idea of how to transform agriculture through partnership with foreign investments. Mr. Sheku said the initiative will improve agriculture, provide jobs and ready markets for local farmers. Augustine Sheku had bought rice and gari milling machines, which will provide an opportunity for the farmers to mill their rice and gari.
This chiefdom, if the potential in agriculture is harnessed properly, with the requisite support, the people are very willing. You can see the excitement, the enthusiasm. And when you have a willing people and a very good transformational leadership provided by the chief, who in fact is not thinking local, he's thinking international. That's why he went all out to ensure that we have connectivity, so that we can have access to market. And if we are able to have the requisite infrastructure, especially the roads, and we have the support to add value to what we are producing, I can tell you the sky is the limit.
Paramount Chief of SOA Chiefdom, Emmanuel Foyo, raised concern over the poor road network. Chief Foyo said if the road is fixed, it will facilitate trade, as at present most of the products are being taken to Guinea. The district agricultural officer affirmed that the chiefdom has a huge potential in terms of agriculture to feed itself and export the remaining crops. The Member of Parliament of the constituency, Komba Kamanda, assured his people that he will facilitate whatever support they need. Leader of C4C in Parliament, Honorable Emerson Lamina, called on the people to seize the moment as government takes agriculture seriously. Honorable Lamina expressed concern over the poor road network but assured them that he will inform the authorities of the condition of the road. A representative of the company in Netherlands, Mahmoud Ahmed, said the parent company has accepted the project and will fund it. Mr. Ahmed called on the people to support the venture. The display of these various vegetables and crops was just a show of the potential of the chiefdom. Rebecca Senesi is one of those who came to showcase what she got from her farm.
I will not get supporting.
What we want
The problem
government
will not
to
get
do is to improve
I will not
agriculture for us,
get supporting
as it is
to the farm side.
allowable in our source of
Kinja
income.
plantation they
The
under
road
for little
network
cooler
is
ya
poor,
can work
and
with the
because
toe
of
not the
that, traders
road
are
not the
overvaluing our
so then I'll
produce.
call me
We are
under.
suffering.
The
The problem is we don't have
where
good
do you say we
roads.
go
We
market
have
now?
the produce, but taking them from our farms to the markets is very difficult.
Eyamboka is one of the farmers who also came here to display his produce, but the road condition is a disadvantage to him. This cattle herder, Chernoso, has 4 cattle ranches with more than 150 cows.
I have 4 ranches, but we don't have good roads. Every day, we milk from 300 to 350 liters, but there is no one to buy because accessing here is difficult, the road is terrible, we end up drinking the milk, it gets wet.
The Deputy Minister of Information and Communication, Solomon Jamiru, who launched the agriculture project, emphasized on the value chain and how to make the product finished once, as that will create not only jobs but revenue for government. He calls on the banks to invest more in agriculture.
So for me, I think people of SOA Chiefdom have started providing the response to a very critical gap in our economy. By doing this, I mean, we've just come from the exhibition. This is coming from the rice milling machine. And this, we buy chocolates all over the place. But then with this, if you can have value addition, they can produce their own chocolates here. So I think it's a message that SOA Chiefdom has sent.
Solomon Jamiru, who also drove along the poor road, confirmed its bad state, but assured the locals that government will not forget them, as the road is crucial if agriculture is to be successful.
Governor of the Central Bank has said his leadership will provide a platform for reasonable exchange rates in the country. Professor Kelfala Kalon was addressing members of the Sierra Leone Association of Commercial Banks at a Bankers Economic Forum. The theme of the forum was towards a more robust banking sector, 57 years post-independence, held at Radisson Blu Hotel, Aberdeen. Princess Gibson has the story.
Forum examined banking sector that is critical to economic development. It is clear that the exchange rate has been high, resulting to inflation, putting at stake daily survival of Sierra Leoneans. The Central Bank governor used the forum to state that his leadership will foster reasonable exchange rates by providing license to trade in foreign currency.
So while we will do everything to provide an environment for the market to determine the exchange rate, we will be derelict in our duty if we allow huge volatility in the exchange rate just because some people want to speculate. So the policy of the Bank of Sierra Leone, for as long as I'm in charge, will be that we will intervene into the market when we feel that huge volatilities in the exchange rate will have a negative impact on macroeconomic stability, which is our major responsibility.
He said the bank will not interfere with people's livelihood but enforce the laws. Financial inclusion is also high on the agenda of the new bank governor to link the huge missing population.
A local bank, an indigenous bank, will get into the rural areas, will go out and bring in the non-bankable population back into the financial system. But of course, Sierra Leone Commercial Bank followed the example of its predecessors, the two British banks, and also went after the same crowd of merchant banks.
President of the Sierra Leone Association of Commercial Banks, Idrissa Kamara, said the banking sector has experienced significant development. He said even with the twin shocks, the sector has registered increased investment. Managing Director, Rukel Commercial Bank, Dr. Walton Gilpin, in his presentation said the sector has realized gradual financial deepening. He, however, noted that access to accounts by Sierra Leoneans is below the average, pointing out that mobile financial services calls for commercial banks to work hard. Panelists from different organizations critically examined the role of commercial banks to discern high interest rates, the overdependence on government to fund huge deficits. Princess Gibson, SLBC News.
2 weeks ago, the state-owned fiber optic management company Sierra Leone Cable Limited announced a 48% reduction in the wholesale cost of bandwidth for internet provision and lease circuits respectively. That, according to SALCAB, is to improve internet access and connectivity for Sierra Leoneans, as well as increasing the turnover and effectiveness of businesses and other sectors. But has that reflected already on the end users? Patrick Salia has been finding out.
It depends, there are different products. For example, an STM1, which is a lease circuit from here to Lisbon, before was costing around $30,000. And for that one, even the production is massive because now it's costing me around $6,000. You know, so the average cost per meg in the entire country was around $80 to $100, and we reduced it way downwards to about $50. That is the current average cost per meg, and it's a decremental approach. The more megage you buy from us, the more reduced price you get. For clients that are going for bigger packages, they get the cost per meg for as low as $24.
That's because internet use in recent years has become a part of the basic social amenities of life, added to food, clothing, shelter, and education. The right to internet access, also known as right to broadband or freedom to connect, is the view that all people must be able to access the internet in order to exercise and enjoy their rights to freedom of expression and opinion and other fundamental human rights. That responsibility rests squarely on the states, especially since December 2003, after the World Summit on Information Society was convened under the auspice of the United Nations to ensure that internet access is broadly available and not unreasonably restricted.
Technology and internet service is one of the things that keeps a nation going and communities going. I mean, now data is more important than any other thing. Anything you do now has to involve data. People are not enjoying the basic facilities that even their phones can offer because of fear of data use. So what they do is open only 1 or 2 apps, which is WhatsApp or other things, and then it's done because the fear of data. You cannot use other platforms like Twitter.
In Sierra Leone, the communications industry currently contributes 3.8% of the country's GDP. A study report from SALCAB shows that the country has a total number of 4.2 million users with average revenue per user of $3 a month and a total revenue pool of $12.6 million, as most of these subscribers are multi-SIM users, a usage trend that has triggered an intense market competition among operators. That 48% reduction for service providers is however yet to have a dripping effect on Idris Ndole, like many among the millions of Sierra Leoneans telecoms and internet users.
This is the country that we live in, where when the prices are raised, we see that reflecting in different businesses. But when they are reduced, it takes time for them to. I don't know if they'll tell us that they had data in stock that they have to clear before the price reduction that has been done by SALCAB takes effect. I don't know if that's the case, but we've not seen anything. There should be a difference. I mean, we pay the highest for data in West Africa. I mean, even our brothers here, Liberia, pay something like just, I think, $8 for 6 gig. Here we pay something like $40 for just something like 6 gig. I mean, which is far more worse and far expensive than every other country in West Africa.
We're encouraging them to try a change in the ecosystem, because the way the ecosystem is, we are an open access wholesale network. We are not a regulator. We do not regulate them. We deal with them on a client or service provider basis. So we encourage them, we talk to them. And the reduction in the price of bandwidth is just one action point that is making wave in the market. But we also realize that transportation of data is a problem, and that is a huge problem for the operators. And they built their network when the data, the entire country was around 10 meg per se.
The telecoms regulator, National Telecommunications Commission, can however not comment because sources within say there has not been any official information and engagement from SALCAB up to press time. Idris Ndole, who uses several social media platforms including Twitter, continues to see no display of videos and photos on his Twitter account. But the net service providers in Sierra Leone, aside their huge investments on operational assets and equipment, are seen to be doing very little to upgrade their systems that could provide the users better services. Instead, their investments are seen into an aggressive competitive marketing and advertisement to get more customers who end up congesting the network. According to David Kwakima, the Chief Commercial Officer of the Sierra Leone Cable Limited, since the landing of the fiber optic cable in 2012, the country now has over 1,000 kilometers of fiber cables running from Freetown to Jendema, Masiaka to Gbalamuya, and Makeni to Kono, a fiber network covering major towns and cities up to the borders of Guinea and Liberia.
Internet penetration is very, very low. You know, when we did our research, we took over this portfolio, and we realized that the entire internet penetration in the country for broadband and dongles and mobile phone is only 30%. That is 900,000 people that are using internet in this country. And even that, we only have about 490,000 people that can afford it on a monthly basis. There are certain people that go a month or two without being able to afford a simple recharge to buy data to access the internet. You know, on the broadband side of penetration, which is what you see in the big offices and certain affluent homes that can afford it, we've just got about 5,000 people who can afford the broadband.
Broadband penetration, SALCAB says, remains at the low end of 2%, while the remaining 11% of the market is still serviced via mobile data delivered on cell phones and dongles. Data is said to be contributing 22% and good internet penetration at 25%, representing 1.7 million people of the country's overall population.
You're watching News Hour on the Sierra Leone Broadcasting Corporation with me, David Patrick Kamara. Well, it's now time for you to relax and let's join Esther Mari Samura for the latest in sports.
Hello and welcome to SLBC Sports News. In this edition, Blackstars Cricket Club has won the 2018 Mackey Cricket Championship organized by the Sierra Leone Cricket Association. Blackstars defeated Indian Cricket Club by 5 wickets in the 5 Overs Cricket Championship. The competition was staged at the Place Resort in Tokyo. Here is a report. The Place Resort hosted cricketers from various cricket clubs in the country in the Mahi-sponsored Beach Cricket Championship. 6 cricket clubs competed in the championship, including the national female cricket team, the under-19 club, the veteran club, Pakistan Cricket Club, among others. The opening ceremony was between Defeat Cricket Club and Pakistan Cricket Club, and Pak Stars won by 3 runs, and the second match was between Indian Combine and the Sierra Leone veteran cricketers, and each had 5 overs. The third match attracted the attention of many people between the national female cricket team and Pak Stars won by 9 runs. Indian Cricket Club and Pak Stars progressed to the finals, and Pak Stars won by edging their counterparts by 5 wickets. Francis Trevor Samora, Chief Executive Officer of the Sierra Leone Cricket Association, appreciated all the participating teams and thanked their partners for their support in making the championship a reality.
At the end of the day, cricket is the winner. Because the essence of sport, not only about cricket, sport is about uniting people, bringing people together to have fun. And I think we've got the fun that we've been looking for. So I hope the Pakistani will be part of the T20 Premier League, which will commence in January.
Captain of Pak Stars, Nabil Shahzad, said they won all of their matches as a result of their preparation and disciplined spirit. He thanked all his fellow cricketers for their outstanding performance. Medals were distributed to the Veteran Cricket Club as second runner-up, followed by India Cricket Club as first runner-up, and Pak Stars Cricket Club as the 2018 winners. Esther Marie Samoa reporting for SLBC TV. And in the international stage, Nigeria smashed Equatorial Guinea for 6th to reach African Women's Cup of Nations semi-final. Nigeria progressed to the semi-final of the African Women's Cup of Nations after cruising to a 6-0 win over Equatorial Guinea at the Cape Coast Stadium in Ghana. Here is the highlight of the match.
And this was how the whole campaign started. Rita Chukweluz released Francisco, and Odega finished off in style. She couldn't have missed. Oparanozie. And the China-based player did well to connect home once again. Another pass from the middle, with Asisat making it a brace for herself, and number 3 in total. Free kick, not the best of connections, but Oparanozie once again turning the provider, and Asisat Oshola completed a hat-trick with that header, came off the crossbar, and the Equatorial Guineans were just watching on as she jumped again like a bird to head home.
And in the semi-final matches, Nigeria to face Cameroon, whilst Mali is to face South Africa in the ongoing African Cup of Nations Women competition in Ghana. That's all for sports tonight. I am Esther Marie Samoa. Thanks for watching.
Many thanks indeed, Esther Marie Samura, for the latest here in sports. To end the news, the main points again. A US-based organization, Catholic Relief Services, has supported the free education with $25 million United States dollars. One of the biggest agricultural projects has been launched in the Kono district. The governor of the central bank has promised a reasonable exchange rate in the country. And that's all we have time for in this edition of News Hour, broadcast live on the SLBC. My name is David Patrick Kamara. Have a lovely night. Good night.